I think things are changing here. People are being given hope for the first time, and I think they're seeing a way out of these slums, and that's heartening to see that. But there's no getting away from the fact that it's been a difficult place to come to, a really tough place to report from.
Hi, I'm Sarah Forster from The National, and welcome to this week's edition of A Closer Look. Now, Africa's energy transformation is underway, but it has not been an easy path. Ahead of COP28, various UAE-based companies are doing their best to help the continent, but some smaller countries are still struggling to power homes. So we're going to cross live to Nick Webster now. So Nick, first of all, just tell us about why you're in Africa. What was the purpose of your trip?
Okay, well, we came out here to visit Togo and Sierra Leone in particular in West Africa to look at the challenges faced through dwindling energy supplies, rapid population growth and urbanisation, the impact that's having on communities, and just what's being done to counter that. Now, there's a lot of investment going on from the UAE, from China and other countries around the world to try and light up this corner of West Africa, and we wanted to come and look and just see how people are living their lives, what was changing, and what the future looks like as well, how things are going to be looking in maybe 10 or 15 years' time for these people here across the region.
And how are attitudes changing over there? What kind of role is the UAE playing in that?
On the ground here, we've been looking at how communities are currently living their lives and their attitudes towards power. Now, in Togo, around 60% of the country has reliable access to energy, electricity, so 40% don't. That's mainly in rural areas, and in Sierra Leone it's even less. Just 20% of the country has access to power.
So these are the challenges that they're facing on a daily basis?
Yeah, so basically, you talk about in Blitter, where we went to look in Togo where the solar plant is, which is being backed by Amia Power. I mean, the supply there, the demand there for energy, to give you an idea, is around about 2 megawatts for the entire town. So there's 20,000 people living in Blitter, and the solar plant that was built in 2022 currently provides around about 50 megawatts of clean renewable energy from these 160,000 solar panels in this rural area of Blitter, and that's going to increase to 70 megawatts by the end of the year. So that's going to make a huge difference, not just to the town of Blitter, but also to the rest of Togo, where this energy will be transported around the country to bring light to people for the first time. Some of these houses have just one plug socket, they have one light bulb, and that's how they live their lives. So we've been on the ground looking at just the difference that is making, and it is a life-changing transformation to these places. I mean, Blitter, for example, is undergoing something of a mini industrial revolution, if you like. Not only is this power plant providing jobs on the ground, maintenance jobs, for example, cleaning the solar panels, keeping the pathways clear of grass, and also maintaining the entire site. They're also providing an apprenticeship program for local people to learn how to be solar engineers, so they have something to aspire to become, rather than just the agriculture, which is historically the main form of income for people living on Blitter, just farming, subsistence farming, goats, low-level crops, which is also becoming more difficult because of climate change. Although it's raining very heavily here today in Sierra Leone, we've had an incredible storm come in this morning. Generally, the wet season in Togo was a month late, so that's been happening consistently for the last 3 or 4 years. So farmers are looking at alternative ways to provide an income for their families, and the solar plant in Blitter is certainly doing that.
And tell me a bit more about the UAE's involvement with the changes over there.
Okay, well, Amia Power is a Dubai-based company. They have projects across Africa doing similar renewable energy projects. So wind power, hydroelectric power and solar fields. So it's a common theme across the continents. And Amia Power, they basically built this solar plant from scratch in record time during the pandemic. And it's being loaned to the government by the Abu Dhabi Exports Office with a $25 million loan, which will be paid back eventually, and then Togo will run this plant themselves. They will own the plant, and they will generate their own electricity for the future. So it is life-changing. And like I said about the industrial side of things, businesses are coming into Blitter now. We went to visit a gas bottle manufacturing plant called Diwa, which came to the town as a result of the power generated by this solar plant. Businesses before wouldn't come to this part of the country because there was no power there. They couldn't rely on the source of energy they were getting from nearby Benin and Ghana. So this has changed that, and it's creating a mini boom here in the town. Well, I should say in Blitter. They also have a cotton manufacturing plant, a cashew development plant, and also a vehicle assembly plant is also coming in the near future.
So you're there right now, you're there on the ground. What is life like there for people now? And, should all these initiatives and plans work out, what will life hopefully be like for people there in the next 10, 20 years?
Okay, well, life is hard here. There's no doubt about it. This is one of the poorest parts of the world. We have seen abject poverty here. From day one, really, after flying into Ghana and Accra, and then getting a flight across the Lomé. It's not an easy place to get to. The infrastructure is very rudimentary, and life is hard here for people in Africa, and that's probably stating the obvious. And when we get storms like today, it can be devastating. For example, in Sierra Leone, we visited these two refuge sites in Freetown. They've been there for 60 years, Kole Town and Bomé. Now, there's huge communities living here, and they thrive on collecting the rubbish to recycle to then sell to traders from Guinea, which is then used for recycling. So that is a real, focus of what this part of the world is dealing with every day. Where do people live? How do they get access to clean water? How do they get access to healthcare? How do they get access to education? We spoke to children who were rifling through the rubbish, trying to get bits of plastic they could sell to pay for education. And that's the challenges people are facing in Freetown. But there's also other issues on the sidelines of that. Freetown is a hugely growing city at a rapid rate, some 3% a year. The population is growing by, so from 1.2 million, it's going to be 1.6 million by the end of the decade. And that's going to cause huge problems in itself. We're already seeing issues of rapid, unplanned urbanisation and the problems that causes. But yeah, like I said, I think things are changing here. People are being given hope for the first time. And I think they're seeing a way out of these slums, and that's heartening to see that. But there's no getting away from the fact that it's been a difficult place to come to, a really tough place to report from, challenging, no regular electricity supply, no phone signal, heavy rains wash away roads very quickly, so it can be challenging to come to places like Sierra Leone.
And if possible, are you able to give a sort of summary as to what the future looks like for these countries when it comes to the energy landscape?
Yeah, going back to the refuge sites in Freetown, there's a company called Infinitum Energy which has pitched a huge project to the government in Sierra Leone where they want to take in the waste, these huge mountains of refuse, and clear some 365,000 tonnes of rubbish to then use for these clean energy incinerators. We've been told they're clean, we've been told they're going to take out almost 500,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And that is their project. They want to clear these rubbish sites, they want to replace that with clean energy, they want to provide jobs. This particular site in Hastings near Freetown is going to provide some 200 jobs on site at the facility itself, then another 1,000 jobs for people collecting refuse in the area. So again, it is providing employment. And once these sites are cleared, they have ambitions in their CSR programs to build schools, to build community centres, to build homes, and obviously health clinics as well. So I think if we came back in 5 years' time, hopefully these sites will be cleared and it will look a lot different. Our life will be better for these people.
All right, well, thank you so much. Nick Webster there, reporting for The National from Freetown. So that's it for this week's episode of A Closer Look from right here in the newsroom. Remember, if you'd like to catch any of our previous episodes, they are all on our YouTube channel. And if you have any suggestions for a future episode, you can always leave that comment in the box below.